Now, we all know about the Liberal housing crisis. Rent has doubled. Mortgage payments doubled. The needed down payment for an average home doubled. Plus, we have the most expensive real estate in the G7. Housing costs have outgrown incomes more in Canada than in all other G7 countries and all but one developed nations. We can't afford a fourth Liberal term. We need affordable homes for a change. But let's start with the problem. What is driving up the costs? Lumber? Labor? Land? Nope. Taxes. In Ontario and BC, government taxes and fees now make up 30% of the cost of a new home. And those are just the direct costs and fees. That doesn't include all the other bureaucracy that stands in the way of home building. On an $800,000 home, all government taxes total nearly $250,000. And the problem isn't just the federal government. City Hall bureaucrats also take their cut. They're called development charges, paid before a shovel even hits the ground. Let's call these charges what they really are: home building taxes. And in the last decade, they've exploded. In 2015, Toronto's home building taxes were about $30,000 a home. Now, nearly $140,000. Across Canada, they've shot up by $27,000 in just 2 years. And the federal Liberals? As always, they've made things worse. They're actually rewarding municipal governments that raise taxes on homes. For example, the federal government gave the City of Toronto an extra $471 million as a reward for the city raising home building taxes by 42%. Now, what did this mean for home building? It fell by 40%. The City of Ottawa got $176 million in housing incentives from the federal government, only to go on and raise housing taxes by 30%. And what happened there? Home building fell by a fifth. And the City of Victoria, they jacked up home building taxes by 258%, and they got a reward from the federal government in the form of $18 million in handouts. What happened to home building there? Down 55%. In other words, the federal Liberals are paying municipal bureaucracies to block and tax home building in the middle of the worst housing crisis in the world. Mark Carney's current housing minister is just fine with that. He says cities can go on raising taxes and still get more of your federal tax dollars. We should stop paying municipal governments to raise taxes on home building. In fact, we should do the exact opposite and incentivize them to cut those taxes. Today, I'm announcing plans to cut housing taxes by $100,000 for a new home. I already announced part of this plan. That is, getting rid of the sales tax on new homes. That would save about $50,000 for the average home in GTA or the Lower Mainland. But today, I'm also announcing Conservatives will incentivize municipalities to cut building taxes another $50,000. Here's how it works. My government will pay municipalities half the cost of cutting their building taxes, with the goal of getting them down by $50,000 a home. In other words, if a municipality agrees to cut their building taxes by $50,000, the federal government will pay $25,000. That will incentivize them to lower these taxes and build more homes. Combined with a GST cut, that means you could save $100,000 on an average new home in the GTA or in the greater Vancouver area, cutting your mortgage payments by $5,000 per year. While the savings would be the biggest in the places that are the most expensive, everyone could save money by having less building taxes and no sales tax on a new home. We'll also require municipalities to speed up permits and free up land to allow 15% more home building per year as a condition of getting federal infrastructure funds. Look, Liberals doubled our housing costs and gave us the worst housing inflation in the G7. Now, Mark Carney is promising more of the same government programs in Ottawa that build bureaucracy and not housing. He has the same Liberal ministers, the same Liberal advisors, the same Liberal MPs that gave us the Liberal housing crisis. We can't trust the people who broke the system to fix it. We cannot afford a fourth term. We need change, with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes to build homes you can afford. So to recap, by axing the sales tax on homes and helping municipalities to cut home building taxes further, we can save you $100,000 on an average new Canadian home. We will build more, tax less, and get the government out of the way to save you tens of thousands of dollars. all to restore Canada's promise that hard work gets you a great life in an affordable house on a safe street protected by brave troops under our proud flag. Canada first, for a change. Let's bring it home.